Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight, keeping in our theme from yesterday, we have a second game sent in by Icy Pursuit in the same email. And this one is in the Mainz Collector's Edition. And I think pretty much everybody knows where this fight's going to go. But he promises it's going to be fantastic, so I can only assume that he is correct in that. So I can't wait to see what he does in the mines. Now, again, it funnily enough is on the exact same map as the Mino game yesterday. If you haven't checked out that Mino game, highly recommend you check it out as well. Fantastic game from start to finish. This one, the Mainz is a fantastic ship. We've talked about it. It's actually busted. For a tier 7 cruiser, like, this thing is disgusting. It's got disgusting HE, but it also has ridiculously disgusting AP. So, depending on your situation, you can switch back and forth and still deal ridiculous amounts of damage. And of course, in the first shot that hits the target, we gotta fire. So, you gotta love that. Now, the Alabama, credit to him, never mind. Never mind. He put out the single fire. I was going to say, credit to him, he did not put out the single fire, but he does put out the single fire. Which is inevitably most likely going to lead to being on fire again and being perma-fired. Now, may not be the worst... Oh, never mind, there's the perma-double. Every time, man. Every single time. It never fails. It never fails. Battleship captain. Oh, he's got the triple fire. Is that going to put out his fire, or is he not running fire? He's not running fire with fire. He's got a perma triple fire. Oh, you deserve it, sunshine. You deserve it. You put out a single fire, and then you get a perma triple fire, and you're not running fire with fire. That's karma, if I've ever seen it. Gets another double fire while shooting at the, was it the Caracciolo, or was it the other guy? There's 3 battleships there. But there are a lot of cruisers in this lobby as well. And this poor New Orleans is about to find out firsthand that, you know, the Mainz does have AP. And it's pretty god darn good. Now, that first shot wasn't the greatest, but the New Orleans did turn out a little bit here. But, again, honestly, he's not leading him enough. I'll just, you know, we talked about this yesterday when we had the fight with the Alaska. A lot of those shots were a little bit sus at the end. Could have come up on the wrong end, but that's a much better looking shot. Still overpinning this New Orleans. There's the shot. That's what we needed. We just needed to get the shots on target. Alabama, look at how much health he's lost. All because he put out a single fire at the beginning of the match. Again, do not put out a single fire unless you are not going to be put back on fire anytime soon. There's another fire, and Vladdy finishes him off. Now, I've talked about this multiple times. As a battleship captain, it feels like you're helpless sometimes against these cruisers, because it feels like nothing you can do can stop them from shooting you. But that's not true. On a map like this, you have plenty of islands that you could potentially hug up against if you need to defend yourself and make sure that you're limiting who can shoot you. We talk about this all the time. As a battleship main, you have to play knowing you're in a match full of cruisers. Limiting how many of those cruisers could potentially shoot you is a huge deal. Now, this Mogami, credit to him, has decided he needs to get up in this cap. And so he is actually, and he's not alone either, he has his destroyer with him, according to the map. But the problem with being in a Mogami in the middle of the map is you're going to be shot from everywhere, and a Mogami is not a particularly tanky ship. It just isn't. So, while we are not really getting a lot of damage, damage is one of those things that it's gonna come depending on where you position yourself. And you can see our destroyer decides to do what can only be described as just suicide. Rushing a cruiser in any destroyer is almost certainly death. I don't care what destroyer it is. If you're rushing a cruiser, you're probably going to come up on the receiving end of a beatdown. It's not a good idea in most destroyers. Now, there are a couple of exceptions, but especially at higher tiers, rushing a cruiser and a destroyer is almost certain death. Okay, so it's not a good trade for your team, especially considering that we all know that destroyers win and lose games. Now here you can see we are actually sonared. It is not, well, it might be now, but it was not the Mogami sonar that was spotting us, because it was spotting us from outside of 4.7 kilometers. It was the Moss. The Moss is currently running his sonar, and he was the one spotting us. But it doesn't matter, because all we have to do is come around the corner and we yeet these guys into oblivion. Now, we have a extended range sonar on our German cruiser, so we should be able to spot anything out to, was it 5.4 kilometers, I think, in the Mainz. The Germans have some of the best sonars in the game for detecting ships at range. Now, obviously, Mogami had went down, so we don't have to worry about that. It's just the Moss. And there is the proc on the beautiful, and just immediately 9 pins for all of the health of the destroyer, and we end up getting the kill. Now, obviously, we have a couple of battleships to worry about. As we whittle away, ouch, that was actually a solid salvo from that, I don't know if that was the Caracello or the King George, but we're in a position where 3 of the battleships can shoot us. This is not ideal. Even the Mainz, as strong as it is, if you're in a situation where you've got multiple battleships potentially able to shoot you, you're in danger. Because as we've talked about multiple times, cruisers are so much fun to play. They just are. They are some of the most exciting ships in the game when it comes to just being able to play them. Yes, their playstyle is relatively meh, but when it comes down to it, there's nothing quite like the thrill of being in a squishy little cruiser, dodging everything that comes at you, knowing that if you fuck up, you're probably going back to port. So, personally, while I don't play a lot of cruisers, it is extremely fun. I do enjoy playing cruisers, even if I enjoy playing battleships more because big booms, you know, big bada booms. If you get the reference, you're old like I am. It's just, that's another thing. While we're on the topic of being old, like, what happened? Why does time go so fast, man? Seriously. It seems like this year has just disappeared. It's almost November. Like, what? It's almost time for me to pay taxes again. Why? I don't like it. But I digress. We're at 120,000 damage. We've set 15 fires, which is insane. But it's a Mainz. It's to be expected. Now, there is a Baltimore out there, which is terrifying for a Mainz, because if there's something that can absolutely yeet a Mainz, it's a American heavy cruiser, right? American heavy cruiser armor piercing is disgusting, but being able to sit here behind the island, utilizing the island cover, having the spotting from your team to be able to just sit here and rain hellfire upon the enemy, you got nothing to fear, really. But notice how those battleships are getting awfully close. Now, there's a permafire on the Balti, because we'd already set one fire and he damage conned it, so we got a permafire. Permafires on cruisers aren't necessarily the worst, but there's a second fire. Now, the one thing you don't have to worry about on a cruiser is somebody running fight fire with fire, right? So, here, we could just keep stacking up the damage. And the Mainz HE is disgusting for just pinning everything, right? It just pins no matter where it hits. Balti, unfortunately, does go dark, but we get a third fire, and then somebody slaps him, and with the fires going, that'll be the end of that Balti. Unless he gets his AP in, there it is. I was going to say, the AP should finish him off. I think he got his damage comeback just in time. But we have a King George rushing up on us. We have a Flounder coming up on us. So this is not generally where you want to be in most cruisers. But being in a German cruiser in this situation, you're almost certainly going to survive the first shot from a battleship. What you don't want is to have to take on multiple battleships at the same time. Because while you will survive the first shot, if you've got 2 battleships shooting you, you're probably not going to survive the next shot. And so, notice he's using the island. He's baiting the enemy into coming around the corner. King George is just haphazardly just sailing in a straight line. Now here he's got AP still loaded as well, and I would expect him to use the AP. I know he sees that he has torps on the way, but I would still be using the AP right here, because you never know, right? But yeah, that's a dead King George for sure. Gets the Dev Strike. Now he does have AP still loaded, and he does have the 6 torpedoes off the other side of the ship. And this is what makes these German cruisers so dangerous. This one is one of the few German cruisers that at range can absolutely chew you up. But up close and coming around islands is where these German cruisers are just second to none. They don't have an equal when it comes to these ambush attacks around an island. There he picks up his Kraken Unleashed and a double strike by taking out the last ship with armor piercing. You gotta love it. Killing 3 ships in seconds. Taking his total damage from what was a decent game to an outstanding game with 227,000 damage, double strike, Confederate, high cal, Kraken, and a Dev Strike. 8 torpedoes landed just at the very end of the game. 6 kills, 229 hits with the main guns, 4,600 base XP, top of the leaderboard. So let this be a lesson to all y'all out there. A, don't put out a single fire unless you're in a position where you're not going to be set on fire again. Or B, if there's a cruiser spamming HE from behind an island, and you know that it's a German cruiser, maybe don't just go rushing willy-nilly around the island to get obliterated by said German cruiser. Just a thought. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. This was a really fun match and a crazy ending. So let me know what you guys think, and if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.